Many people are taking their first big family vacation in over 2 years this summer. And of course, that usually includes bringing home souvenirs. And we want to bring back those memories, but we also want to cherish them forever, not leave them in a box or put them in the back of our closet. We have CEO of Framebridge, Susan Tynan, here to tell us all about the best ways that we can go ahead and display our memories and our keepsakes. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thanks for having me. This is a topic I love.
Now, the Framebridge does have 3 stores in the Chicagoland area. We have one in Southport neighborhood. We have one in the West Loop and one in River North as well, too, as well as stores across the nation.
That's right. And we're starting to see a lot of wonderful memories from summer travels coming into the stores.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Obviously, people get excited to bring back, postcards and T-shirts and take photographs of where they're going. But then sometimes it's like, okay, we just came back from vacation. Let's, put it away. You find a box of those memories years later. And that's something we want to avoid. Talk a little bit about, why it's important to keep those memories alive and display them in our homes.
Yeah, it's really the essence of what I do for a living is help people surround themselves with things that matter. And we really believe if you put things on your walls that remind you of the highlights of your life, not only will you remember them, which is important, but you'll be inspired to do more. And so that's really the heart of it. If you realize that you just had a sensational beach vacation, I hope you book it early next year. And so we love to see people's travel souvenirs, but absolutely, it's hard to motivate to frame them if you don't do it immediately upon return. And then I think even worse probably is the photos on your phone, which just get, deeper and deeper behind unless you do a little bit of favoriting on the flight home.
Oh, exactly. I mean, so let's talk about photos first, because obviously, up until maybe a decade ago, 2 decades ago, everyone had to have a physical camera and you had to print up those photos and those went into an album. Now they can just sit on a camera roll for years and you don't get a chance to look at them. Let's talk a little bit about, taking some of those special photos and turning them into wall art.
The good news, of course, though, is that you have access to an amazing camera with you at all times. And I'd say the good news about vacation too is you're in beautiful vistas, so you can often get a great shot and you can get a shot that looks like art. But in terms of photos of people, you also have people at their happiest and most relaxed. So we see, the best photo you're going to take all year is going to be the one on vacation. There's really no way to replicate that vacation feeling otherwise. So definitely take the time to get your friends or your family into a couple of photos, be that guy or gal, and make sure everybody takes the photo. I love to blow up some of those photos and actually frame them. I'll show you how I framed a beach photo of my kids. You can see it. That was shot on an iPhone. Early morning at the beach, and they're actually not that prominent in the photo. It's really, of the waves, but it looks like art. And I framed it without a mat. So to me, that really looked more like art. It's in a thin hardwood frame, and it hangs in our hallway. And it makes me happy every time I walk past it.
It makes you think of the vacation, but also maybe planning the next one. And when people, come by and ask how your vacation was, you can go ahead and say, like, look at this beautiful photo. This is how relaxing and beautiful it was for the family.
Yes. But I have to talk to you about souvenirs too, because there are souvenirs you find, oftentimes when you're on vacation, you'll see art in the street, or you'll see little mementos you want to take home, and that's great. But there are also so many wonderful memories of your trip that are free. So behind me, I framed a postcard that I got free at a restaurant. You'll see a theme here. It was a beachside restaurant, and I just remember thinking, like, this is wonderful. It was a sunset, and I just thought if I could always go back to this time with a Corona and a bucket of shrimp is truly what it was, and I just wanted to remember it, so I framed it. And then behind me are coasters, paper coasters from pubs we visited on a trip. And so that's pretty funny, but they had funny sayings on them. And I thought, we're going to make that art. And what we did here is it's called on both of them. It's floated. That just means that the art is affixed to the front of the mat rather than sort of tucked in behind it. And that makes anything sort of have more visual interest and look like art. But of course, when people get up close, I love to tell the stories behind them.
Oh, exactly. Because I had done a trip to Dublin where I had collected coasters. And you know what? That just reminded me, because they're sitting in a box somewhere. And that's the perfect way to display them, because they all had funny sayings, or they had a special memory attached to them because they had gone for a friend's wedding.
And then, of course, you do find art and affordable art on vacation, depending on where you are. Often street artists. I I had a European vacation where I took this, bought this in Venice. It's stunning. I love it. But not only is it beautiful, it reminds me of a really, really fun trip.
Exactly. I do want to touch on restaurants and one more time too, as well too, because I'm a foodie. So sometimes when I'm planning a vacation, I say, I want to go to this particular restaurant or this particular cuisine, or this is, a highlight of going, obviously you come to Chicago, you got to have deep dish pizza, but you go, other places and you're like, oh, I got to try this or I got to try that, and bringing back a menu of a famous restaurant you went to and framing that. I mean, that's just a unique way to go ahead and treasure that
Absolutely.
memory.
Menus and matchbooks. We have a lot of customers who collect matchbooks from their favorite restaurants, and they'll do, like a row of 3 matchbooks. Absolutely.
I've also seen plane tickets. So whether it might be, your first trip, a honeymoon, a special trip that's been on your bucket list for forever. Talk a little bit about maybe framing that plane ticket.
Absolutely. I think there's nothing like it, right? The anticipation of a trip is sometimes as special as going on the trip. And again, I think it comes back to remembering what was special in your life so that you do more of it. So I think if you see that plane ticket and you go back to those memories of taking off, especially at this time after 2 years of not being able to go as far afield as we wished, I think it's wonderful.
Now, as far as framing goes with Framebridge, what can we put inside frame? Like how heavy, how big, let us know maybe some of the dimensions and some of the weight. So when people are thinking of what they can use, a little bit of those parameters.
Well, we have very exciting news on how big. If you're shopping in our stores, starting next week, you can go up to 40 by 60. So I promise you're probably not bringing that home from vacation. But if you pick up a textile or a scarf or something like that, we can frame it. And we frame up to about 1.5 inches deep. So certainly, we've certainly framed little collections of flat shells and items with a little bit of depth like that.
Gotcha. Wonderful. And there's a promotion right now, 50% off when creating a new account. So this is kind of a nice little incentive as far as people, maybe having those vacation memories and wanting to frame them.
Yes, and frame them before you forget, before you get back to the grind of daily life.
Oh, exactly. And then talk a little bit about the process. How does it work, and how long does it take for someone to get something back?
Yeah. So Framebridge.com is an easy way, especially for your digital photos, but we have these 3 stores in Chicago. And so you come in with your art, our team will help you choose a beautiful style to showcase it. And we will either ship it back to you in about a week, or you can come and pick it up in the store. Either way, same time frame. The other thing that's sort of the fun of Framebridge is the pricing is just based on the size of your art. So it's really clear. You won't have the sticker shock that you might be anticipating. And that really allows you to frame more, right? You can frame that postcard.
You can go ahead and do that. 3453 North Southport, 920 West Randolph, and 617 North State. Framebridge.com is where you can go ahead and find the information on locations all across the nation. Susan, it's always so great to see you.
So great to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go on vacation.
Exactly. I need to. I got my vacation shirt. I don't know if you can see it. They're little palm trees.
Yes,
on my...
that is a vacation shirt. Good.
Thank you so much.